You have been lied to. From the moment you entered the system, you were trained to believe that your goodness, your honesty, and your transparency were your greatest shields. You were taught that if you remained a person of integrity, the world would reciprocate with fairness. This is not a moral philosophy. It is a tactical death sentence. Your naivety is not a virtue. It is a signal to every predator in the jungle that you are a primary target. You are currently an unarmed prophet, someone with high ideals but zero mental weaponry to defend them. In the theater of power, the unarmed are not respected. They are consumed. The hidden trap lies in the mask of likability you have spent years refining. By trying to be the good person, you have effectively stripped yourself of your armor and drained your moat. You have become predictable, and in the game of the chessboard, predictability is the precursor to defeat. You believe you are being moral, but in reality, you are being compliant. As Niccolò Machiavelli observed, a man who wishes to make a profession of goodness in everything must necessarily come to grief among so many who are not good. You must realize that your current identity is a narcissistic wound waiting to be exploited. To survive, you must decimate your weak self and architect a new, unreadable persona. Your strategic countermove is the immediate adoption of Machiavellian realism. Stop viewing social interactions through the lens of kindness and start seeing them as tactical empathy. This shift is the beginning of your identity rebirth. You must understand that all warfare is based on deception, as Sun Tzu taught, and your social survival is the most critical war you will ever fight. To move from being a pawn to a player, you must first accept the cold reality that the system wants you to stay nice so that you remain a disposable resource. Integration of the shadow is not an option, it is a requirement for sovereignty. The meeting with oneself is, at first, the meeting with one's own shadow, and yours is currently working against you because you refuse to look at it.
Law 1. The Doctrine of the Armed Prophet.
The first law of strategic sovereignty demands that you never bring a moral argument to a power struggle. Most failed idealists believe that the rightness of their position will carry the day. This is the delusion of the soldier without a general. In reality, power only respects power. If you have a vision, a goal, or a boundary, but you lack the means to enforce it, you are simply a victim in waiting. You must become an armed prophet. Being armed does not mean physical violence. It means possessing the psychological weaponry to inflict a cost on those who cross you. The trap is relying on the justice of the system. The system is an engine designed to preserve itself, not to protect your interests. When you appeal to fairness, you are essentially begging a predator to stop being a predator. This is a lethal misunderstanding of predatory patterns. Machiavelli noted the historical necessity of this law when he stated, "Hence it comes that all armed prophets have conquered and the unarmed ones have been destroyed." If you cannot defend your fortress, your ideas are worthless. You must architect a presence that signals strategic scarcity and potential consequence. Your weapon is the development of a formidable shadow. You must integrate the capacity for ruthless execution into your personality so that it radiates as an unspoken warning. When others sense that you are capable of being the lion as well as the fox, their behavior toward you will shift from exploitation to caution. As Jung warned, everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. By owning your inner monster, you neutralize its ability to sabotage you from within, and instead weaponize it to command respect from without. You are no longer just a good person, you are a dangerous person choosing to be civil. Law 2. The Fallacy of Gratitude. One of the most common ways pawns are manipulated is through the illusion of gratitude. You perform a favor, you work late, you go the extra mile for a friend or an employer, and you expect that this will create a bond of loyalty. This is a strategic error of the highest order. In the jungle, gratitude is not a bond, it is a burden. When you do too much for others, you remind them of their own weakness and dependence. This creates resentment, not loyalty. The more you give away for free, the less value your contributions hold. The hidden trap here is the mask of the helpful servant. By trying to be indispensable through kindness, you are actually making yourself a drained battery. People do not stay with those they are grateful to, they stay with those they are dependent on. As Robert Greene outlines in The Laws of Power, you must learn to keep people dependent on you. If they don't need you, they will eventually betray you to prove they are free of you. Machiavelli was brutally clear. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, covetous. Relying on their goodness is building your house on a swamp. Your countermove is to replace kindness with strategic dependence. Never provide a service or a favor that isn't calculated to increase your own sovereignty. You must become the hand that moves the pieces by ensuring that your presence is the only thing standing between others and their own failure. Use strategic scarcity to make your help a rare and valuable resource rather than a common commodity. Do not seek to be loved for your help. Seek to be needed for your power. Prosperity is a great teacher, adversity a greater. And by controlling the resources or information others need, you become the teacher they cannot afford to lose.
Law 3. Shadow integration and the predator's lens. You have been conditioned to be light, positive, and empathetic. This conditioning has blinded you to the reality of human nature. By suppressing your darker instincts, you have rendered yourself unable to recognize them in others. This is why you are repeatedly shocked by unexpected betrayal. You are looking at the world through the lens of a sheep, and you are surprised when you find yourself in the company of wolves. Shadow integration is the process of awakening your inner monster, not to become a villain, but to become a complete human being who cannot be manipulated. The trap is toxic positivity. When you ignore the predatory nature of those around you because everyone has good in them, you are committing strategic suicide. You are ignoring the predatory patterns that an FBI profiler like Joe Navarro would identify in seconds. Your brain's reward system, the neuroscience of the compliant slave, is literally wired to ignore red flags in order to maintain social harmony. You must break this cycle. The shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality.
for no one can become conscious of the shadow without considerable moral effort. The weapon is the shadow sentinel. You must consciously integrate your capacity for aggression, deception, and coldness so that you can recognize these traits in others before they are used against you. When you look through the predator's lens, you no longer see a charming colleague. You see a specialized predator who views others as objects to be used. This is not paranoia. This is dark intelligence. By becoming unreadable yourself, you force others to reveal their own masks. Remember, the first step in protection is recognition of the predator's patterns. Once you see the game, you can no longer be a piece in it. Law 4. The neuroscience of the compliant slave. Your brain is currently programmed for obedience. From childhood, you were rewarded for following rules and punished for exercising sovereignty. This has created a narcissistic wound where your self-worth is tied to the approval of the system or the authority. This makes you the perfect soldier without a general, working tirelessly to build someone else's empire while your own soul dies. You are biologically wired to seek the mask of likability because your ancestors needed the tribe to survive. But in the modern jungle, the tribe has been replaced by the chessboard, and your tribal instincts are being weaponized against you. The hidden trap is your reactivity. Because you need approval, a simple cold shoulder or a critical remark from a superior or a partner sends you into a tailspin. You are a slave to reactivity, and those who understand dark psychology exploit this daily. They use strategic scarcity of their own attention to keep you performing like a trained dog. Navarro notes that predators look for vulnerability and the lack of a defensive structure. Your need to be liked is the biggest hole in your inner walls. Your strategic countermove is cosmic detachment combined with calculated dominance. You must hard reset your cognitive defense moods. Stop seeking approval and start seeking results. When someone attempts to trigger your narcissistic wound, meet them with strategic invisibility. Do not react. Silence is your greatest weapon. As Alan Watts suggested, when you stop clutching at yourself, you become free to handle reality. By removing the I that needs to be liked, you become an untouchable player. You are no longer a drained battery for others. You are a self-sustaining power source of sovereignty.
Law 5. Prefer being feared over being loved. This is the most forbidden wisdom of all. The system tells you that love is all you need. Machiavelli tells you that love is a chain of obligation that men break whenever it serves their interest. Fear, however, is a permanent structural fortress. If you build your relationships on being loved or liked, you are building on the most volatile currency in existence. If you build on a foundation of respect, rooted in a healthy fear of the consequences of crossing you, you have built something that will endure. The trap is the prisoner of the mask of likability. When you strive to be loved, you are constantly negotiating your own value. You are forced to be kind even when you are being disrespected. You become the invisible stranger in your own life because you have suppressed your power to keep others comfortable. Machiavelli's warning is eternal. It is much safer to be feared than loved. Love is held by a link of obligation, which, because men are sorry creatures, is broken every time for their own profit. But fear is preserved by a dread of punishment which never fails. Your weapon is calculated dominance. This does not mean being a tyrant.
It means being the hand that moves the pieces with such precision that others know there is a high price for betrayal. You must establish clear inner walls and moats. When someone violates your sovereignty, the strategic countermove must be swift and undeniable. You are not looking for good vibes, you are looking for ruthless execution of your boundaries. By choosing respect over affection, you move from being a resource to being a player. You are now an armed prophet in your own right, ready for the identity rebirth that Law 6 will initiate. Law 6: Strategic Scarcity of Information. The world demands that you be transparent. It invites you to share your dreams, your fears, and your plans on a public stage. This is a tactical trap designed to map your inner world for future exploitation. In the jungle, the creature that makes the most noise is the first to be hunted. Your thoughts are your most valuable currency. When you give them away for free, you devalue your sovereignty and expose your fortress to siege. You must architect a wall of silence that leaves others guessing your true intent. The trap is the overlooked intellect trying to prove their worth. You believe that by explaining your brilliance, you will gain respect. In reality, always say less than necessary. When you explain yourself, you relinquish control of the narrative. You become predictable, and as Machiavelli noted, men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. Your honesty is being weaponized against you because you have failed to recognize that the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. Transparency is for the governed. Secrecy is for the player. Your strategic countermove is the implementation of strategic scarcity. Treat every word as a resource that must be earned. Use your silence to draw others out. People are naturally uncomfortable with quiet and will fill the void with their own secrets. By remaining unreadable, you become a blank screen upon which others project their own fears and desires. Remember that conceal your intentions is not just a law, it is a survival mechanism. You are no longer a book to be read, you are a riddle to be solved. Silence is power. Silence is a shield. Silence is a weapon.
Law 7. The lion and the fox maneuver. To survive the jungle, you must master the duality of nature. Many failed idealists try to be the lion, all force and no finesse, only to fall into the first snare set for them. Others try to be the fox, all cunning and no strength, only to be crushed by the first predator that catches them. Strategic sovereignty requires you to be both. You must possess the intellect to decode predatory patterns and the power to decimate anyone who attempts to cross your inner walls. The trap is the mask of one-dimensionality. You have been told to be consistent, which is just another way of saying easy to manage. If you are always the kind professional, you will be exploited. If you are always the ruthless competitor, you will be isolated. Machiavelli's warning is surgical. A prince being thus obliged to know well how to act as a beast must imitate the fox and the lion. You must understand that the lion cannot defend himself against snares, and the fox cannot defend himself against wolves. To stay in the game, you must be a fox to recognize snares and a lion to frighten wolves. Your weapon is the architected persona. You must learn to switch between the lion and the fox with cold precision.
When negotiating, use the fox's tactical empathy to find the narcissistic wound in your opponent. When your sovereignty is threatened, unleash the lion's ruthless execution to end the conflict immediately. This is not hypocrisy, it is strategic sovereignty. You are the hand that moves the pieces, and the pieces must be moved according to the requirements of the chessboard, not the comforts of your ego. Law 8. Neutralizing the narcissistic wound. Every predator has a fracture. In the work of Navarro, we see that the narcissist's primary concern is their own image and how they are perceived. These individuals enter your life to feed on your energy and your mask of likability. They look for those who are drained batteries because they know a person seeking approval is a person who can be controlled. To defeat them, you must first heal your own narcissistic wound, the need to be seen as good or special by people who do not matter. The trap is the prisoner of the mask. You allow dangerous personalities to dictate your reality because you are afraid of being the villain in their story. You must realize that predators look for vulnerability and the lack of a defensive structure. By needing their validation, you are providing them with a roadmap to your destruction. As Navarro observes, trust is a feeling, but safety is a behavior. If your behavior is geared towards pleasing a narcissist, you have abandoned your own safety. Your countermove is to weaponize their own ego. When a predator attempts to exploit you, provide them with a mirror of their own desires while you move your true assets behind your inner walls. Use strategic invisibility to make yourself an unrewarding target. If they cannot get an emotional reaction from you, they will move on to easier prey. You must integrate the shadow sentinel to spot their predatory patterns early. Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Use their toxicity as a diagnostic tool to find where your own armor is thin, then reinforce it with cold authority.
Law 9. The Zen of Machiavellian Realism. Betrayal only hurts when you are attached to a specific outcome. Most slaves to reactivity suffer because they believe people should be better than they are. This is a cosmic delusion. You must adopt a state of cosmic detachment, where you view human behavior as a series of mechanical events rather than personal attacks. When a friend stabs you in the back, it is not a tragedy, it is a predatory pattern fulfilling itself. By removing your emotional stake, you become untouchable. The trap is clutching at themselves. You are so worried about your identity and your pain that you cannot see the strategic moves on the board. Man suffers only because he takes seriously what the gods made for fun. When you take betrayal personally, you give the betrayer power over your internal state. You must realize that the only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. If the jungle is chaotic, become the chaos. Your weapon is results over approval. When you are detached, you can analyze a betrayal with the coldness of a forensic scientist. You don't get angry, you get sovereign. You calculate the next move based on Machiavellian realism. The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. By expecting nothing, you are never surprised. By needing nothing, you are never controlled. You are the secluded truth seeker who understands that the game is just a game, and you are the only one who knows the rules. Law 10.
the sovereignty of the unconquerable self. The final law is the total identity rebirth. You must cease to be the person who was trained like a dog to be obedient. You must dismantle the mask and integrate the shadow until you are a unified force of will. Sovereignty is not something given by the system. It is something seized through ruthless execution of your own potential. You must become the king of your own internal fortress, where no external force can enter without your command. The trap is the system outcast who still seeks the system's approval. You think you are a rebel, but you are still defined by what you are rebelling against. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. If you do not own your desire for power, your desire for power will own you. The meeting with oneself is, at first, the meeting with one's own shadow. If you refuse to meet your shadow, you will remain a pawn forever, a resource for those who were brave enough to integrate their own darkness. Your strategic countermove is shadow integration. Accept your capacity for darkness, for deception, and for dominance. Use absence to create honor and respect. When you are no longer a drained battery for others, you become a fortress for yourself. This is the birth of a formidable, unreadable, and untouchable self. You are no longer looking for good vibes, you are looking for command. You are the hand that moves the pieces. You are the strategic architect of your own destiny.
You came here as a failed idealist, or a soldier without a general, weary of being the prey in a world of predators. But the transmission is complete. Through these 10 laws, you have decimated your weak identity and architected a new existence based on strategic sovereignty. You have integrated the fox's cunning and the lion's force. You have turned your narcissistic wound into a psychological weapon. You have moved from the periphery of the chessboard to its very center. The person who began this video no longer exists. You have stepped into a new identity, one that is unreadable, untouchable, and utterly formidable. You are no longer a disposable resource for the empires of others. You are the sovereign of your own mind. You understand that silence is a shield and fear is a fortress. You are ready to play the game of power, not as a victim of its rules, but as the one who writes them. Warriors, if you are ready to join the circle of minds that refuse to be controlled, subscribe and arm yourself for the coming shifts. The system wants you blind. We are here to give you sight. Remember, in a world of pawns, the only sin is not being the player. Your naivety was your prison. Your strategy is your liberation. Command your reality or be commanded by it.